Mr. John, good morning. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing okay. Good afternoon over here.
Yeah, good. I
Eastern time zone.
yeah, you all are. It's this the time zone thing always gets me because we're in Arizona and at the moment I'm Pacific and I feel like I should be in California. I should at least get California weather if I have to deal with Pacific time, but it doesn't work that way. Um, and I travel a lot. Then I much prefer being in Central time to anywhere else. It feels like the right blend of I'm ahead of everybody. Um, but on the
I
East
hear
Coast,
you.
I feel like I have to stay up too late to talk to people.
So we have, I think it's 5 counties in Indiana that do not respect daylight savings. So they go between being like you guys, between being in Eastern and being in Central, depending on the time of year. It's a mess.
That's amazing. I like that it's counties and not even the whole state. Uh, that makes me so happy that somebody's more
Because that makes
complicated
a
than
lot of
we are.
sense. Yeah.
Uh,
Talk about
uh,
anarchy.
that's right. That's right. Well, hey everybody that's joined. Thanks for hanging out with us. Excited to chat with John a little bit about what he's doing with AI in his brokerage. I want to make sure that the chat works. For those of you that are here, can somebody just chat so we make sure that we can uh, see you, read, react, etc. There you go. Hi. Thanks. Appreciate y'all joining. Okay, cool. We are recording. We'll send this out afterwards. Uh, this is going to be a good conversation. We'll probably go 45 minutes. We'll make it interactive. So, Chris and Fabian, anybody else that's listening, if you have questions, there's something you want to jump in with, just drop it in the chat and John and I will handle it live. But really, we have one goal today, and that goal is to create value for anybody that watches this that's a real estate broker, real estate agent, real estate team leader that is looking to implement AI in their brokerage and help you all learn from what John has done at Cressy and Everett to bring value to his agents. So, um, John, instead of me butchering your introduction, why don't you give us a quick background on you and your brokerage and the markets that y'all operate in?
Absolutely. Glad to be here, Jeremiah. John Souza, and I am the co-owner and president of Cressy Everett Real Estate. Our company is an independent firm. We cover north central Indiana and southwest Michigan, coming to you from South Bend, Indiana, world headquarters. And we're about a mile away from the University of Notre Dame. That's usually where people connect South Bend with. That also happens to be my alma mater. Um, and the firm is currently celebrating its 80th year in business. So we've seen a lot of seasons. We also have seen a lot of technology come and go as well. So we can talk about that. Personally, I had a life before real estate. I was a management consultant, among other things, and I brought technology always. I've been a real nerd when it comes to technology. My first experience was between an Apple IIe and a TRS-80, a Radio Shack TRS-80. So I was coding in BASIC back in the day. So that's my credibility. And I actually survived one summer coding in COBOL as well. So that takes me, those are my creds, my street creds with the IT
That's
folks.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. And that's,
However,
you know, we did a little prep call yesterday, and that was what was fun for me because I didn't know that you had a technical background. And so it's always like a little bit fear inducing and a little bit fun when you talk to people with technical backgrounds about
absolutely.
technology.
Yeah, and in a way, I came to real estate late, second or third career for me, like it is for so many realtors, by the way. And it's funny in a way. I think that it couldn't have been better timed, right? I've been in this role as president of the company now for 14 years, and talk about having the industry and technology meet head on, right? And so I think my timing in a way is perfect, and AI is no different than that. Jeremiah, our company has a bit of a history of being kind of in the leading edge of technology, whatever the technology was back at the time. We had a website when it was really early on, and it was just to have a billboard because we couldn't have content back in the day, right? So this is like in the mid 90s, for example. We've had a TV show that plays on a local TV station and online. I believe is going on 25 years. So
Wow.
we were the first and currently one of the few that are still in that business, but it makes sense as part of our brand. It works. So we've brought a lot of things. We were the first company to bring online forms to the industry and fillable forms. We had a dot loop relationship in the early days, and had a big impact on the industry here. I believe we hold the claim of having owned the first Matterport 3D camera in the state of Indiana. That goes back, because I saw the technology and I loved it. I also knew that it wasn't going to work. I knew that at those price points in the Midwest, that was not going to work. So we had to own our own camera and do it that way. And that was a strong part of our brand for a while as well, right? Well, that was still a novelty. So like that, we've been at the cutting edge of a lot of these things. And of
Yeah.
course, AI is it, right?
Yeah.
So we started dabbling in this space. It's now, I think it's 20 months. I think we released our product in the fall of 20, I want to say October of 24. And it was not anything with you guys. It was just us trying to figure out how do we do this and how do we make AI available to our agents and where's the value? And it was just a lot of gee whiz and, can it really do this? Look at what it's doing. That's amazing. And so on and so forth. So we started out by rolling a homegrown custom ChatGPT, which is pretty easy to do. Gave it a lot of knowledge, gave it a lot of steering and guidance, but obviously it was a cheap implementation, no guardrails whatsoever, no limits, no access, none of those things. But man, it got our feet wet and it made us
Yeah.
feel comfortable. But it also taught us a lot of respect for what's needed to make the product really work.
Yeah. And I think so for people that are watching this, the thing that I want you to I'm going to try to give you some takeaways. The biggest takeaway, and we've launched now hundreds of real estate brokerages, and we build an AI solution that we're going to get a little deeper into how John and his company use it. But in every single one of our what I would call successful implementations, and you all haven't been live that long on our product, but you've had a lot of early signs of success. There's somebody or some number of people like John that they're the leader in every sense of the world. They're a thought leader. They are doing the work. They're getting their hands dirty and building it. And a lot of times the inverse is true too in brokerages where we have what I would call unsuccessful or like failure to launches. That's because the leader's like, oh, that's a really shiny object. Hey, team, check this out. I bought this. Can you implement it? Um, and so I think that that's the thing that I want to give you kudos on is when I pull your list for your team and I stack rank the power users, the number one name on the list is John Souza. So you are in there, you're leading the way for your team. You're figuring out how to use the tools and you're charting the way.
No, thank you
So
for saying that, Jeremiah, recognizing that. And can I tell you that there's another side to that? It's kind of a double side, which is the exact opposite of what you just said, because I do have that technology background, because I do have the understanding and I get it. And I kind of like it, by the way. I am a self-confessed nerd in that sense. But at the same time, that teaches me that not everyone is like me. I learned that just the other day. It wasn't a long time ago, but I've just come to learn the whole world is not like me. Who knew, right? So I know that my interest and my passion and my curiosity, it's not going to be what drives my agents to want to use this product. So we did a session as early as this morning. We did an introduction session with some of our agents this morning, rolling it out. And we start not by talking about the tool, but by talking about them. And we ask, what is it that you need? We say, what is going to make the next 12 months of your career more successful than the last 12? What is it? And we just have an open discussion about that, not talking about technology, not talking about AI, just what is it? And the things that they say are not surprising, right? Hey, I need to prospect more. I need to stay in touch with my clients more. I need to really get this social media under control and really do something and not have it take up all my day. And just the classic realtor concerns that everyone has in every market, right? And that's what it is about. So then the question is, can this technology help with that? And if not, then never mind. Then John's just playing with a cool toy and that's it, right? But if it can, hey, wait a minute, right? And this is why all of our tools exist. This is how we bring value to the agents who join our company. We have 175 agents, and we're asking that question all the time, saying, what is it that they need? What is it that we can do for you today? How can we bring value today? So this is it. So that's the construct, saying, hey, before we talk about a single thing about this tool, why? And if I, at the end of the session, can demonstrate that your business is going to be better off because of the tool, then I failed.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so here's just playing this back for those of you that are listening. John's company's been around 80 years. He's got 175 agents. You all are an independent brokerage. You run across 2 states. His team on our platform, I think you all have been like building for a while. So you built an AI assistant that is custom for your brokerage, that's trained on 80 plus years of local market data and intelligence and what you've learned. It's something that nobody in your market could replicate. And you built that on our platform, and we're really honored that you did that, and that you kind of got it to a place where it was ready to roll out. And remind me, I think you rolled it out for the first time to agents around the 10th.
Yes. So company-wide, July 10th.
Okay. And I'm looking at a chart of usage, and so I'm like guessing it's the 10th because there's a pretty big spike. And so for those of you that are listening to this, pretend you have a brokerage and you roll out a tool, right? Generally, when you roll tools out like this, it takes months of training to get adoption. And if you get double-digit adoption, that you're like winning. So now, John, do I have your permission to share some live numbers with
Sure, please do.
the people watching?
I
So
haven't
John,
seen it, but I trust you. Go ahead.
yeah, so John rolled this out 13 days ago to his agents. Of his 175 agents, 101 have already logged in and claimed their account. So that's like 6 more than yesterday when we talk. So that's like, I'm not great at math, but that's more than half. But even more impressive than that, of that 101, 28 of them have been in the platform today. So like almost 30% of your agents have used it today. I'm sorry, 33 of them have been in it today, not 28. And in that time frame, they've sent 1,066 messages, and BrokerBot's performed over 1,000. It's 1,030 web searches on their behalf. So like they're using it and they're digging into it. And so I think it would be helpful for you to like share, how do you provide a technology tool that you actually get more than half of your agents to pay attention to? What's the secret there?
Sure. Well, one advantage that BrokerBot had, like I said, is that you guys came in second, right? Like a little Apple technology rollout, right? Not first, but the second. And we had really pushed that original product that I mentioned. It was a super simple custom ChatGPT. So people began to hear about the importance and the value and those things back when we had this little baby tool. But at the same time, Jeremiah, it taught us that we really needed to have a good platform. And while we think we're pretty clever and pretty capable, we knew we couldn't build it ourselves. It was going to be beyond our comprehension. And boy, has that turned out to be the case, right? So we began to beat this drum. And our approach is never to dictate to our agents, hey, you got to do this or else, right? That, you're either on the bandwagon or you're a loser, right? They all bred here. No, that's never been our approach. It's all about finding the right match between that individual agent, their needs, their life stage, how they succeed, and what we can do for them. As a matter of fact, I've told a group of my agents, it's like, hey, you know what? If you're closer to the end of your career than the start, and you're doing well, don't sweat this. Really, you're going to be okay without AI. I know that's sacrilegious for me to say that to you, Jeremiah, but I said, you know what? You're fine. If you sold 10 houses, 20 houses last year without it, you'll probably do another 10 or 20 this year, maybe the year after as well. That's cool. Don't worry about it. But for everybody else who needs to become more productive, for anybody else who needs to work in this industry more than a couple of years forward, yeah, they need to do this, right? So while we allow, this multi-level of adoption, but for the rest of you, Yeah, this is serious. So don't you guys get confused with the other ones who are playing it loose, right? Because it's not their thing. It's okay. There's room for them in this brokerage. That's big enough. However, the rest of you need to figure this out. So some days I know it'd be simpler to just have one message for everybody. It's just not our history. That's not how we do things. We really respect our agents' individuals' choices on their career path and those kinds of things. So, yeah, no, I
I
think I lost
muted
you there.
myself.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry. Yeah.
I'm in a shared office, so I always mute myself so you don't get background noise. But I think what you just said is it's an acknowledgement of the way that the world works. Like we are all individual humans, but to some brokers, it's a novel concept because for whatever reason, as an industry, what we've done to people, we've said like, this is how you're successful, and like, you got to be a telephone prospector and a this and a that and the other. And the reality is like, there's so many behavioral styles and so many paths to success.
Mhm.
And I love what you said, and I actually I don't think it's sacrilegious. I think that's probably why you all are on top in your local markets because you understand that this is how people operate, and you meet them where they are.
Our firm has brought more professionals into the industry here in this region than anybody else. And we know that when they come in and when they share and the experience of being in the office or being next to the desk of somebody who's really successful, we have an agent, I think the agent that just retired, she had been with us 41 years.
Yep,
Think about that,
that's
41
amazing.
year, right? So in a way, it's awe-inspiring to be a brand new agent and connect with this 41-year-old veteran, right? But on the other hand, you could get the wrong message from that because, hey, I'm just watching her and she's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah,
She's not prospecting. She's not doing this. She's not cold calling. She's not door knocking. And she's doing great business. It's like, hey, I want to do that too, right? Yeah, that's the wrong message. In 41 years, maybe you get to do that. Right now,
yeah,
you need to do what she was doing 41 years
yeah,
ago, which is
yeah.
all these things, right? So we've now to again because we have a big enough tent that we have folks at different stage of their life. So so by the way, I haven't told you this, but one of our agents who's done some really clever things with AI and just now starting to use the BrokerBot product is 84 years old.
That's amazing.
84. And
That's amazing.
it's so easy. It would have been so easy for me as his managing broker to put him in that category, right? Saying, you know what, he's out there, he's don't worry about him, he's not gonna get it. Just gonna move him aside. But we didn't. We invited everybody, and he's picked up, and he has become an expert, and he's doing some really cool things with it. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
that's awesome.
it's like my apologies for being surprised. I shouldn't be. It's a little demeaning, perhaps, to folks who are 84 years old, but it's a great reminder. And it's not about your chronological age. It's about your approach and your attitude and your curiosity. And if this is what gets you going and encourages you, go for it.
Yep, yep. I love that. Now, I want to like this is I have very clear goals from doing these. Is like I want to add value to people and I want to get people to buy my product. But I also want to make sure that people understand along the way. So you talked about a custom GPT. And I think that most people don't fully understand what a custom GPT is.
Right.
So can I derail us for like a hot minute and I'll just pull up Chat GPT and show these folks what a custom GPT is so that they can understand what you're
Sure.
talking about? Okay. So, and team that's here in the chat, if you feel like this is a waste of your time, just speak up. But so when I'm inside a Chat GPT, right, we all know that you could just chat with it and you can do your thing. On the left side over here, you have these things they call them GPTs. And so if these GPTs, you can get off the shelf ones, or you can even make your own. And when you make your own, what it's going to let you do is you can give it kind of a persona. So you can name it, give it a description, give it some instructions, these conversation starters or little pills that you can put on the top to start. And then you can upload PDFs and other things in here to give it kind of a little miniature knowledge base to talk with. At the end of it all, what this allows you to do is to curate a version of a large language model that has a little bit more context about what you're trying to do. So it can be more helpful and it can give you like more repeatable outcomes. The upside to these is they're relatively inexpensive to create, and I think you can share them.
Mm-hmm.
The downside to me is once John shares it, he has no visibility into how his people are using it and what they're
Right.
doing. And then there's the whole security concern, because I see a bunch of people do these and they make like a contract review GPT and they're uploading their customers' information, and they don't realize that like chat GPT is training on your customer information, and that's illegal in like 30 states, and can be like lose your license territory. So that's problematic. But anything else you would share for people looking at custom GPTs?
Yeah, it's it's funny. That wasn't such a big concern for me early on, mostly because the uses that we had in mind did not involve contracts at all. I mean, how dare I think that I can put a contract into this or have the thing understand? I mean, it was never my expectation that it would do that. So what did it do? It had all of our sales materials. It had a bunch of information about sales in general, right? We're a shop that really likes the ninja selling approach, for example. So it had a lot of information about ninja selling. We teach that, we encourage that. So the entire first set of uses was, hey, let's use this as a coaching tool, as a mentor. Let's use it as a Q&A, as a role-playing tool and everything else. And it was great for that. We never imagined putting personal information in this and all that. So now, again, I'm talking about 20 months ago, right? Way in the stone
Yeah.
age of all this.
Yeah.
And so that was okay. I mean, who'd be crazy enough to put a contract into this, right? Well, guess what? We can, one, but number two, it can actually handle some of this. I mean, much to my surprise, it's like, wait, what? It can do what? So that's how I knew, right, that we were not with the right platform. We needed to do
Yeah.
something that was going to have control, that was going to allow us to have some tracking. It's going to allow us to see what people were using it for, all sorts of things like that. I mean, after all, I am the managing broker, right? So I do lose a little bit of sleep every now and then about some of these things. So
Yeah.
so I said, okay, we're not going to be able to control this. We may as well create an environment, give our folks a tool that can handle all the aspects in real estate.
Yeah, I love that. And so um, I'm going to pivot for another 1 minute and show you our version of these GPTs, which we call them workflows, and how we create a closed loop system to where when the agents use it, John can see how it works. And then, John, I'd love you, if you're comfortable sharing or just talking, either one is great, to go through like what are the workflows that you built? How do you see agents using this? And like, what's the value that it delivers for your users? But to just do like a super fast product tour, each of these workflow tiles in our tool, or even this custom assistant tile, they trigger an action inside of a large language model. And so in our platform, all of our models are zero data retention. We don't train on it. So you can upload contracts and do those things without the compliance concerns. But we give somebody like John the ability to build very sophisticated assistants with transaction coordination. They can use your CRM. There's amazing things that they can do. He can choose exactly in his brokerage who this tile will work for and who will see it. And then as the agents are using it, he has visibility into everything they're doing and can even come back to our tool and say like, hey, what are the top things our agents are doing that we should be training on? And it can go back and read through all of their different things and help him curate his training material. So we've kind of closed that loop in one platform and made it pretty easy to do. But whether you use GPTs or you build something in Claude or you do it in ours, I want people to be able to get value. So maybe help them understand like what are the I like how you think about it as assistants or roles. So like what are the roles or workflows that you're delivering with AI that you think people could take away and implement today?
Sure. Um, Having those buttons in the front, and I'm not sure exactly what we're calling them. I've taken to calling them action buttons. Just I don't have a better name. You mentioned that ChatGPT has them, and they call them, I believe, conversation starters. I think is what they call
Yeah.
them over there. So for us, I thought those were really useful, and the reason is because they. If I go back to my premise, my agents are not technology fans. They're not geeks at heart. They're not any of those things. Nobody got into real estate because they wanted to, use a AI chatbot. Come on. So I have to always remember that, right? So the tools have to make sense in their context. I don't, I could spend hours and hours and hours, and Jeremiah, you and I have spent time on the phone, and this is just endlessly fascinating, right? Again, the world's not like you and I. So I have to remember that they only can remember so much, they only can learn so much. So the key uses for this, we have put into the buttons, exactly like what you've described. So the way that I'm going to look at my buttons here for a second. The way that we have them set up is that behind all those buttons, as you described, are all kinds of actions, and the way that we think those are better. So, for example, I took inspiration from a friend of ours. There's a speaker in the industry called Matthew Ferrara, and Matthew was doing a presentation not too long ago, and he was encouraging folks to prospect for sale by owners, right? Okay, nothing new about that. But he had this kind of real simple approach about, hey, go find the property, get the address, and ask GPT how to approach them and what's unique about that property and things like that. And hey, I said, you know what? We can do that. So we built a prompt that goes through all those things. It asks some questions, right? Some obvious questions, some not so obvious questions of the agent. And then it goes and runs with that information. Then it comes back and provides a pretty wholesome approach to approaching that particular owner as that. And we just started using it literally like about 2 weeks ago. But so far, we are having some good experiences, right? So that's, again, taking all this knowledge and, bringing the outside knowledge from our friend and an expert and all that stuff and packaging it in there. Our agents they don't have to understand all that. They just see a button, they push the button, hey, for sale by owner, what do I do here? And they go and in about 3 minutes, they have something going. They have a specific pitch for that specific property in that neighborhood, including the market realities and how long that property has been on the market and comps and all kinds of things around that. So it's the work is what the agent should be doing. But if you don't do this all the time, if you're not a FISBO prospecting expert, you forget, right? You do this maybe every once in a while. So this brings all that and puts it right in front of them, and it's a great reminder.
Yeah, and I'm so you all see me doing this in the background. I'm over here. I'm looking at John's account. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I just found a FISBO on Zillow and I threw it in here and I'm just seeing what happens because I'm very curious. But I read the prompt. Uh, this is wicked smart.
Thank
Like
you.
it is going, and I don't want to like spill your secret sauce.
Well,
Is it
no,
okay if I tell people what it's doing?
that one you can do. Yes, that one you can do.
Okay. So he's basically I click the button and I'll screen share if you're okay with it.
Yes,
It is
please.
right now. So I click the button. I gave it an address, and right now it's going to the web, and you're gonna see stuff like this is our new live browse experience that we haven't shown to anybody yet. So you can kind of watch it browse down here, and we can even make it big, take over control or whatever. But right now we're going to the web, and it looks like it's analyzing this property. And if I understand what the workflow does correctly, it's now going to go pull like market data for the market. And then it's going to kind of reverse engineer who might be the buyer for this house. And then it's going to write like a profile that says, through the eyes of the buyer, how might this house be perceived? And then it's going to give me as the agent some scripts in a way to go talk to this seller. And then it's also going to give me like a little dossier that'll create some value that I can bring to the seller.
Mhm.
Did I do a pretty fair summary of that?
That's right on. Absolutely. I mentioned before that we, as a company, we tend to have a preference, right? So we're not real hard hitters. We're not leaning heavily on just memorizing scripts and hitting folks with scripts time and time again, right? I mean, that works with some folks. That's great. Just hasn't been our history. So I know that if I suggest a real hard script, our agents are going to say, yeah, it doesn't feel like me, right? And
Yeah.
so this actually takes into account some of the other training that we have, some of the other approaches that we think are softer but yet effective. And it will
Yeah.
make those kinds of recommendations. So the script is not going to sound like, hey, you're an idiot for FISBO, let me do it, right?
Yeah.
That's not what we recommend. We recommend an approach that's very consultative, that's very supportive, that
Yep.
says, hey, we understand what you're doing this. It's probably for these reasons. That's great. Maybe I can help you.
Yeah.
And begins that conversation, right? And it has usually offers a list of objections, which are the classic objections that the seller would have. And it's already been prompted. So the agent says, hey, I was expecting you would say that, so let me tell you about it, and so on and so forth. So it's some of it is generic, right? It's sort of templated sales work, but some of it is super specific to that particular property, to that neighborhood, to that day in the market,
Yeah.
and what's happening in that particular market.
Yeah. And the thing that you haven't seen it do yet that it's going to do is it's going to pull your resources from your knowledge base of like what's the value proposition for an agent at Cressy and Everett, the ninja selling skills
Mhm.
and everything that's built in here. And so this is very interesting here of what it's finding is so it finds this property, it finds this, says it's been on the market, it's listed for this. Key observations, there's 2 price cuts, 2-bedroom. The description reads like a text message, all lowercase, minimal, no lifestyle language, no room by room story. Wisconsin area code on the listing, likely an out-of-state owner, investor flipper. That can mean whatever that means. Here's what I'm saying. Bought 14 months ago, did a quick flip, listed FSBO, has already taken 2 cuts. They're not in the home. They're likely remote. What's your read? Do you think the seller is stubborn on price? Now, I'm going to have a little fun here. I'm going to say, I actually want you to pretend like you're a web sleuth. And I want you to look at that phone number and do a reverse lookup and like just go crazy. Like do your version of forewarn on this person and build a whole dossier on who the owner is based on this. And I want you to tell me what you think is going on. So I see John's eyes lighting up, but like this is going to be his next idea.
Well, Jeremiah, you were frothing at the mouth a couple of weeks ago when you rolled out this feature, and
Yeah.
and I get it, man. That this is really cool. Now, I have to tell you, in all fairness, at some point that's too far, right? At some point,
Yeah.
that's you and I geeking out about what this thing can do, right? And does my agent really need to do the phone number lookup and stuff? I mean, maybe not,
Yeah.
right? So that's where they need to be able to make the call. Say, you know what, I
Yeah.
don't want to go in that path. It's amazing, it's cool, but yeah, that's not what I need. Right now, what I need is how to pick up the phone and talk to this person, right?
Yeah.
But so that's what's so wonderful about the tool is that broad and it can do so many things. And by the way, it couldn't do that just the other day, but now it can.
Yeah.
So what's it going to
That's right.
do in a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I hope everybody hears on this. And this is the thing I notice in this industry, because I'm like way too much AI around me. And I keep going to all these conferences and you get the person that's on stage and they have their microphone and they go into the microphone. All right, I want you to hear this amazing prompt. And they say, what we're going to do is we're going to prospect for FSBOs and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And if you just buy my course for $39.99, I'll give you the prompt template. You can go paste into ChatGPT. Um, I think what John has recognized and what he's done for his agents is he's like, they don't really care to learn it. They want the outcome. And so you've taken the time at your brokerage to go engineer this and figure out how to get it to work in a way that fits your brokerage's persona. And you've given the agent like the click button, do thing experience that will help them.
Jeremiah, I'll give you an example of how that played out just in the last 4 days, right? So over the weekend, I wrote a prompt and I attached it to one of those buttons. And it's about writing property descriptions, right? Writing listing descriptions. That's one of those generic uses. Everybody wants help with that. Every time we've asked our agents, that's the #1 request. Oh yeah, help me write property descriptions. Got it. At first hand, that's not a difficult task, right? However, not all property descriptions are the same, right? So I don't know that I'm an expert in what makes one property description better than another, but somebody is. So you know what? I went out, I shouldn't say we, I went out and I found a couple of articles that seemed pretty legit and contemporary about, hey, what makes a property description better than another? Okay, guess where that sits now? The PDFs of those articles are sitting in the knowledge base that we created.
I love
So
it.
now we're all a little bit smarter, right? Now, did I have to read the articles and memorize them? No, but they're legit and they're in there. So BrokerBot's reading them as needed, and they're there, right? So the agent may not even know that those things were referenced, but in the background, that's how it knows to write them a certain way or another, right? Okay,
Yep.
here's the problem. I got a little carried away. That prompt I wrote, don't show that one because it's not great because it's too much. It was doing so much work again because I just geeked out and I thought, oh, it can do this, it can do that. Well, as my agents began to use it over the weekend and early this week, they were like, dude, no, too much. Number one, it's taking like 5 minutes to complete, right? Just because we're sending it out to the web, just what you just showed, right? It's going out there and trying to do all kinds of things. And as you know, there's all this pushing and shoving right now on the web and things being, bots being blocked and you guys finding the workaround and the whole thing, the whole game, right? But that takes time. And then what it was giving our folks back was like screens and screens. It was great text, but it was too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? This is really not what you need, is it? What you really needed was just the description to put in the MLS. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I rewrote it a little bit. I'm going to rewrite it again some more to have it just give our users a shorter, more usable response. Okay. But again, I wouldn't know this if I hadn't interacted. One of the features, Jeremiah, that I really like about BrokerBot is that with my level of access, my unique level of access into the tool, I'm able to see the chats of the other users. Okay. And that's something that I disclose to all my agents right up front saying, hey, don't do doing illegal stuff in BrokerBot because I'm going to see it and I'm going to be complicit to your illegal activities. So don't go doing that. Don't plan a government takeover in BrokerBot or anything like that. However, because I can totally see my user experience. I mean, it's very voyeuristic, but it's so useful because now I'm understanding what my agents just earlier this week were engaging with and going, yeah, I can see her frustration. This took forever and this didn't do. It did too much. This is not what she wanted.
Yeah.
So we learn, we adapt, rinse and repeat, right? And the tool is gonna just always get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, it's interesting that you mentioned that is technology is really challenging. Always. I mean, it's always been hard to build scalable technology, right? But now you introduce these large language models that are largely probabilistic, and people ask me, what's it like building in this world? I said, it's a lot like trying to lasso Jello with tooth floss, because like you think you got it, and then it just like divides and goes different directions. And just earlier this week, actually, we had a provider that we had customers that were giving us the same complaint you were giving us. I'm like, gosh, some of these things are taking a really long time. And we found out that there was a provider that had like some number of their calls, let's just say it that way, were routing through a server host that was down and like they didn't fix it. And so we had these calls that were just like silently dying. And it was like 1.3% of global chats. So we do about 1 billion tokens a day in processing now. So it's very small, like from a percentage, but it's noisy because you can see a lot of customers getting affected. And it was like finding a needle in a haystack. But once we found it, it's like you turn them off and it just gets better. And I think that's our kind of claim to fame is, I shouldn't say claim to fame. The thing that we're really proud of is what I should say is that we fix it fast. When it's not right, we fix it fast. We take the feedback really seriously.
Jeremiah, if I could for a moment, I told you I was going to do this, so I want to share my screen for a second because I want to tell the folks on the call something about you guys. And in my years in the industry, I've worked with very many vendors. I tend to be a little more loyal than maybe than some others, but I think it's really important to have a good partnership between our vendors and the brokerages. And we've only been working together for a little while, but a couple of days ago, I'm going to put this text. So you guys have a Slack channel, have multiple Slack channels, but one of them is about. Oh, sorry, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen.
Yeah, you're sharing your messages.
Sorry. I went with the wrong one. Here we go. That screen. That's what I meant to share. And I was working on something, and it's almost 8 o'clock. It's 7:56 p.m. That night, and I put in there, say, hey guys, I'm having an issue here. something is broken with this text box. If you try to edit in the box, it's just the cursor's jumping around. I mean, super small technical thing, right? 7:56. 1 minute later, what do I get? I get a text from you, Jeremiah, going, "Yep, just found it. Yeah, I'm putting in a ticket." I mean, that's amazing response, right? And engagement. 1 minute. That's pretty good numbers. But even better, by midnight, by 12:15, I get a confirmation from you saying, "Yep, we found it. We pushed the patch, fixed." So you didn't put me up to that testimonial, but I tell you that things like that matter, right? Especially at this time, because this thing's going to break every day. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, something didn't work this morning. I haven't told you yet. I was doing a session and something broke this morning. So you and I will talk about that later. It was a little
Okay.
embarrassing. However, it happens. And I know not to expect better because this is such an early stage for the entire industry. And this is very much moving sand for all of us. So if we choose to be in this space, we have to realize that that's what we signed up for, right? This is like Wright brothers times. These planes are
Yeah.
going to crash every now and then, right? But that's what we need to do to be able to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, we want to make sure we're working with a vendor that gets it and that is willing to put up with it and work with us and partner with us.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Um, I'm not going to go back and share this, but you should go look at the chat that I did because I did it in your account with that FISBO.
oh,
Um,
okay.
well, I'm just going to say this: be careful what you ask for, because what this I'll give you all the headline, which is like, it found the owner, who they are, where they live, the family medical emergency that is forcing the sale, the drug conviction of their immediate family that is creating financial pressure, like where they live, who they are, the businesses they own, what's happening with that. It found everything on social media. And it basically gave you the whole story that this is a person that needs real help. Um, it's a lot. Like the internet is really frightening sometimes. Um, but I
So
think that
no,
that's the thing. You got to be careful what you ask for.
Jeremiah, thanks for sharing that because you know what? Part of the as I'm doing this rollout of the tool, I'm spending a little bit of time talking about the technology and where we are in the industry and the world and everything else before we actually get hands-on with the tool. And I'm quick to acknowledge that AI has all kinds of problems, right? It can create an invasion of privacy, perhaps, the way you described that. It can do all kinds of things. It can make things up. We happen to have, by the way, about 5 miles in that direction. I'm pointing west. 5 miles from here is New Carlisle, Indiana, which is the home to the largest Amazon data center. Project Rainier is the largest rollout of a data center in the U.S. so far, and it's all for Anthropic, by the way. Little background fact. It's a massive thing. It's very controversial. It's caused all kinds of concerns about the environment and about this and the other, as data centers do, right? So it is very present in our area that data centers may not be a good thing, therefore AI may not be a good thing. I get it. I'm not going to solve that. I'm not going to tell people how to feel and how to believe about those things. But I also know that we can't stop it, right? No amount of me digging my heels and saying AI bad, no, right? It's not going to make any difference. So we
Yeah.
need to find the right ways to use it. So back to your example, hopefully we employ good real estate agents that have good values and have a servant's heart. And when they see that, they go, oh, okay, now I get it. I mean, imagine that was their neighbor, right? And
Yeah.
that they learned all that about their neighbor's situation.
Yeah.
They want to represent the neighbors and sell the neighbor's house. Of course they do.
Yeah.
That's how they make a living. But all the realtors I know are going to do that a little differently, right? Saying, "Oh wow,
Yeah.
now that I understand this, my approach, my tone, everything is going to be appropriate for that situation." So if BrokerBot is allowing us to learn about that, I could be a weasel, and I could be a total
Yeah.
jerk and misuse
Yeah.
that information.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I could try to be the better person that I want to be and try to show up properly for that particular seller.
Yeah. 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 I agree. And that's like my heart hurts for this person. I think they like genuinely need some help. And I'm going to send that to one of our agents because they just need some help. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's our job in this industry, right? Is to be able to help people. And AI is a tool that allows us to A, help more people, but also B, to deliver better experiences. And I think that's our role as we move forward into like the next iteration of the industry, right? Like BrokerBot today can write my contracts in SkySlope. It can review my contracts. It can produce my marketing. And so I can either do the same amount of sales or transactions or whatever in less time, or I could do more. But in either case, I should be able to deliver a better consumer experience because there's no reason for me to be too busy or to have things I can't follow up on. And so I'd love to hear from you. I know you've built your knowledge base with a lot of stuff, especially a lot of video content. Um, what are the things that you think are the most valuable to have on tap for your agents in terms of, whether it's a knowledge base in BrokerBot or just like company resources?
Mm-hmm.
How would you coach a broker on building that stuff out?
Yeah. So we started by feeding it in an organized way, all the sales materials that we have, right? So all of our sales sheets, basically everything that we would possibly have facing a consumer, we put in there. And then we began to put some internal documents that are not consumer facing, but that are in the same vein, right? So basically think of your training programs, right? The things you would train your brand new agents on, we put in there. We also gave it some internal videos that we have from classes that we have taught about how to use our tools, how to use our other tools, our CRM, our CMA tool, all those products, right? Because, by the way, we've taught those classes, and because I've seen this coming for the last few years, we've been recording those classes. Haven't done anything with them. Those videos have sat there with 0 views, right? But all of a sudden, hey, now they're coming in handy. Because not only does BrokerBot understand that knowledge, right? It actually watches the video and understands it. But then when appropriate, it will actually source the video as well. So I could be asking, the agent could be saying, hey, teach me how to do a thing. And then it will say it, but then underneath it, there'll be a link and it will show the actual video right there. So the agent can actually play the video. So it's just in time training, because it's bringing forward that resource. So the video could be my company's video because we have a pretty extensive training program. It also is a whole bunch of YouTube videos because there's some great sources for YouTube material that I like out there. There's some crap also, but there's some that I like. So the ones that we like, we have found those channels and those playlists. And because now you have the feature that lets me basically select a playlist and have it stay current, we've fed it some of these because we know the content from that person or that company is really good. And we always want it to be available. So that's always available. And again, this content is right there. Agents may not watch those videos once they're sourced in front of them. Man, but if they want, they're right there. And it's so much better than having to go online on YouTube or someplace else to go find the video, right? I mean, the knowledge is out there. It's public. It's just not quite as accessible. So once you see it right there, you go, okay, here it is. If I really want to become an expert in blank, it's all right here.
Yeah. And I want people to understand this because it is really kind of a magic experience the first time you see it. So this is an interview I did with Tristan from Lab Coats on how to do GEO. And so it's a video. BrokerBot listens to the video, transcribes it, and then we take it frame by frame and we compress that all into a timeline and join it. And then we embed it into our platform for retrieval. And so what happens is when I come in and I say, hey, I was at this conference and I want to learn how to do a name, address, phone audit or a NAP audit. How do I do one? What you see it do is it says, hey, Jeremiah, great question. And it actually came up right from your knowledge base. And so it walks me through what is a NAP audit. It's explained in our How to Win Clients with AI SEO video, why it matters, how to do it. And so it's doing this all from the video, and then it's giving me the actual video. We have a bug right this second that is causing this to index to the 0 frame, but we'll get that out in a release this afternoon. And so it would actually time index to exactly in the video when I talk about this thing. And it's a really cool experience for people that have the training content like you do.
Jeremiah, if you could put that back up for a second, I want to point something out as well, because in addition to the video, at the end of that chat thread, you also see the little icons, go all the way down to the bottom there, okay? So you see those four little icons, those are documents. And if you click on any one of those will be either, your training material or some kind of form or something like that, and it'll be right there. So if you're wondering, hey, how do you know BrokerBot? Says who, BrokerBot? Well, you can click on those and boom, there it pops up. Whatever that document
Yeah.
is, that is the source. So I
Yeah.
told you that in the early days, 20 months ago, when we began to putz around with this, my son and I here at work, we just didn't ever imagine that we would be talking about contracts or license law or rules or any of that stuff. That stuff really felt like a bridge too far, right? So we weren't concerned about it too much. Once we began to really use it, we said, oh, wow, it really will tackle this. And then furthermore, we knew we probably can't stop our agents from using that for those things as well. So we may as well find a way. So today, our tool has the entire license law code for Indiana and for Michigan, for the two states that we work in. It's brand new. I have zero experience with the results. I'm a little terrified, but it's there, right? So back to that sourcing. If the answer that BrokerBot gives them is based on that, the link to the document will be there.
Yeah.
And if they're saying, how do I know that this is right? You click, takes you there, and then you can read the code by yourself and come to some conclusion.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but when we do these extractions on these things, we show you, hang on, sorry, I'm going to find one of these.
The color?
Yeah, we show you where we got it from in the document. This one's loading, but that's part of what we do is we actually show our work at every step so that you have clarity on where these things came from. Yeah, there you go. It just loaded. So we not only do we show you like the document, but we show you where are we learning about these different pieces within the document so that you have references.
Jeremiah, that means something to me because I haven't told you yet, but I am also a real estate commissioner for the state of Indiana. I'm one of the 12, right? So following the law kind of means something to me, right? A little more than perhaps to others. So which is again why I'm so on the one hand scared, but also excited about this because it turns out for the last couple of years in my work as a commissioner, I have an AI tool that lets me go through all those materials. I've been using a Notebook LM for it, and it's become super useful. And I've become so much smarter about our laws because it's helping me process. It's so much better than just running a Google search on it or a keyword search. So I know that there's a place for them. I'm a little concerned about releasing it and just trusting it too blindly. That's always going to be the thing. I hope to have good thinking agents working for us who are not just going to go blindly, off the ledge. But yeah, we're all learning and we're all figuring it out.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's why we give you the audit trail, right? So you can go back and see what we're saying and you can fix the answers. We don't pretend to be perfect every time. We hold ourselves out to be a platform that is trainable so that as you see answers you don't like, you can fix them for the next time. I do want to point out one thing is that when we deploy these implementations, we give you a pretty high level of configurability. And so what John just said of like, this is the role he wants his AI assistant to play. We have other brokers that they don't use us for broker questions at all. They use us as like a marketing tool because we have all the leading models and we can do images and virtual staging and flyers and all those things. Some of them just use it for that and they don't want us to play that role. Mm-hmm. I am curious how you're leveraging it. Are you doing marketing stuff? Are your agents using it for virtual staging? How's that been received?
All of the above to some degree or another. So one of the things that we did is that we created an AI advisory council about 6 months ago. And this is just a group of volunteered agents who wanted to learn more about this and were willing to spend some time with the technology. So they were the ones who got first exposed to this. So about 40 people have been playing with this for a couple months longer. So that was part of our learning cycle with those folks. So in their experience and then the experience over the last couple of weeks after the launch, we have a combination of all those things. I think image enhancement is a pretty good use. We suddenly have the most clean refrigerators, totally free of magnets and crap, stuck to them, for example, and things like that. By the way, we have a different AI product on our website from another company that does on-the-fly AI redesigning of properties, and that's turning out to be really popular for us as well. But that's on public-facing things, so on just working with individual images. When it comes to creating marketing materials, so far it's kind of a mixed result, and you and I have talked about this. We happen to have, we think, a strong brand, a strong look for the brand, historic, and we care about it, and we want it to be right. And it's difficult. AI is not known for being fastidious. When it comes to those things, we are. So it insists in redesigning our brand and our color and our logos. I've never seen so many interpretations of our logo. So again, it's like, no, don't. Just use the stupid thing as is. Really, don't make it more this or more that. Just use it, will you? So it's a struggle. I know you got your best people working on these problems, and it's not just us; it's all of us. It insists in proving its worth and being creative. I was like, no, don't be creative with a logo. Be creative with something else.
Yeah. Well,
so the good news is, though, that we have other tools that can get it done for our agents, right? So what we've done? We have a training, to use your technical term, we have a training that says, hey, when the agent asks for creating a flyer, a just listed, just sold, open house, and any one of those things, before you go about doing the work, remind them that we have a tool over there in this other product that does those things, and it does it really well. So remind them to go over there, smart. Click this link, do that. If you must have this thing do it, okay, then go ahead and have it, try to create one knowing full well it's going to be, hit and miss.
Yeah. Well, on the 10th, we released a product update, and I probably need to help you configure it. But if you make a logos folder and we give it an instruction to only use the logos from the folder, it can now, generally what AI tries to do is read that, and it takes a text description, then pixel for pixel recreates it. But we built a tool to where it'll actually just stamp your logo on the tool or on the, what do you call it, the image that it generated. Okay. So it's a good first step towards being more fastidious, and I love that word. But you're right, it's not deterministic, it's probabilistic. So it's probably going to be right some percentage of the time, and it's definitely going to be wrong some percentage of the time. 3 minutes left. If anybody has questions, drop them in the chat. But if not, your parting thoughts, words of wisdom for people that watch this that are thinking about where do they start?
One thought will be you have to start, whether it's here or there or whatever. You got to start somewhere. Even if we don't think that AI is a good fit for us as individual real estate agents, or even if we have big thinking objections, societal objections, to AI and everything else, guess what? Our buyers and sellers don't care. And we're seeing it today. Our buyers and sellers are using the technology themselves. Probably misusing it most of the time, but they're using it anyway. So if nothing else, brokers, I think, owe the obligation to their agents to help them understand that world better, so that when they come in contact with those buyers and sellers who swear by the technology, at least, it's a better experience between them, right? And they may not use BrokerBot or whatever the other tool is, but at least they've come to understand. It's like, okay, I get it. This is why this consumer is approaching it this way. And let me work with them despite their insistence in using this technology, right? So again, the world's going to change. Even if we don't want to go there, our consumers will go there.
Yeah. Yes. Building on what you said, in 2026 and beyond, you have to have an AI strategy as a broker. And I was talking to a broker in Arizona a couple weeks ago, and his AI strategy is to preclude his agents from using AI. So he has them sign an addendum that says that they do not allow them to use AI at all. You can't use it, full stop. We don't use it. We don't let our customers use it. And you sign in blood saying that you won't use AI at any point. it's a strategy. I mean, that is matter of factly an AI strategy. I don't know that it's mine. Like, my feedback to them was,
I'm gonna guess that there's a lot of blood around that brokerage, all over the
um,
place. So
I, I think that I don't know. I don't
yeah,
really don't know anything
I
about his
like to think.
business.
Hey, listen, I would like to think that I could make that statement and really expect my agents to do that. I don't think that's realistic for my people, at least.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and I want them to be curious, and I want them to experiment. I want them to feel relevant and modern and all those things. So, you know what? It's my job to try to figure out these intricacies. It's my job to do this. So when we bring this tool, a lot of what we tell them is, hey, do this instead of that, right?
hmm
If you have a ChatGPT or a Claude account or whatever, that's cool, but this can do all that, I think. So try this instead, and we think we'll be better and get better at using this one as opposed to having to, learn the other ones. And I think you'll be better off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I love that. Well, thank you very much. Just about everybody stayed on all the way to the end. So if you're still here, do us
Cool.
a favor, give John a thumbs up or a heart or something so that he knows that you're listening. And he sees your party emojis or whatever they are. So thank you all for doing that. Thank you for hanging out. And thank you for the smiley face. And John, most importantly, thank you for the time. I know that's the most precious investment we can all make. You are a tremendous leader of your people. They're really lucky to have you. I got a little nervous when you said you're the real estate commissioner in Indiana, and that's amazing. Uh, that you're using our product and finding utility with it. Oh, my hat says Ribera, Ribera. That is our parent company. Ribera AI is to BrokerBot what OpenAI is to ChatGPT. So, John, thanks again. I really appreciate it. We
Glad
will
to be here.
record, cut this up, and send it out. And for all of those of you who hung out with us, we appreciate you. I really hope you got some value. If you have follow-on questions, you can go to brokerbot.ai, schedule a demo, or send us a note. And then if you have a referral for Southern Michigan and Northern Indiana, did I get that right?
North Central Indiana, Southwest Michigan. You got it.
There you go.
Send it our way.
Call to John of the Cressy and Everett team. John, how do people get a hold of you, follow you, etc.?
Yeah, my name's unique enough that I'm easy to find out there, but Jay D'Souza is my LinkedIn profile. That's usually the best place. However, CressyEverett.com, johndesouza.CressyEverett.com also works. So,
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome week. We appreciate all of you, and hopefully we'll see some of you at Inman next week.
great.
Thanks so
See you.
much. Bye-bye.